AI is psychopathic by nature.
Welcome to The Big Puzzle. In this podcast, we explore the subtle connections between science, religion, politics, economics, and history. One piece at a time, we unveil the big picture of this shared experience that we call life.
Recently, I downloaded all the scripts from my videos. I uploaded the text to Gemini, and I asked it to create a script for a video that will follow, the format of these videos that I'm posting and imitating my style. And no, this is not the result of that, but the result was fairly impressive. I always affirmed that AI couldn't be creative. Finding new ways to say things or new methods or new whatever. And I was surprised that it did find something quite interesting. And it connected three different things from three different fields through one common process. So first I was kind of shocked. I said, am I wrong in everything I'm saying? Is AI really creative? And well, I need to keep thinking a little about that. But the thing that it couldn't match was my style. And it didn't sound like me at all. If I would be reading that, it would sound completely different than the way I speak. And I wonder why it couldn't, follow my style. So obviously, the way it was presented was perfect grammar and probably better organization than I do have in these videos where I kind of go around and getting on tangents. It was more structured, and people say, well, it was better then. But again, I couldn't put my finger on what the problem was, why it didn't feel right, why it didn't feel like something I would say or I would do. So later that same week, I saw somebody that was showing how to compose songs about absolutely anything in any style using AI, and in a few seconds the computer would be able to write something with good rhymes, capturing the essence of what the prompt was, and the music was pretty much flawless. But again, it was kind of okay. What is the difference between these and some Beach Boys song? Why you still feel there's something missing there? And thinking about that, I realized, well, the problem is that AI has no soul. And I'm not talking soul just in the metaphysical sense. I think that soul is connected to this reality, and I will try to explain what I mean by that. But another way to say that is, like I was saying in the introduction, that AI is psychopathic. So I'm not a huge believer in psychoanalysis. And I chose the word believer on purpose. I think there's some things that make sense, but I want to use the framework of psychopathy to explain what I mean. Again, I'm not an expert, nor I want to be, but for me a psychopath is somebody who cannot feel, cannot develop empathy, because they lack the ability to have feelings. So the way a psychopath learns to interact with the world is by imitating. So I say, okay, I see the people around me are crying every time that this happens. So I, to fit. And usually psychopaths are very manipulative. Oh, sorry, it's difficult to jump from Spanish to English. Manipulative. Well, you get it. Because they don't see the impact of their actions in other people. They don't have empathy, right? The ability to feel what other people are feeling. So putting yourself in the position of somebody else. And in that sense, I would argue that many actors are kind of psychopaths. Or let's put it this way. It's easier to be a very good actor if you're a psychopath, because the skills align very well. I won't say that all the actors are psychopaths. That will be quite a stretch, but I would say that, yeah, you reach a point in which you learn how to, imitate feelings and emotions, and acting is manipulating. You're manipulating the emotions of the public. You could use it for good, hopefully, or you could abuse it, But that might explain why actors have so much difficulty building relationships or stable, long-lasting relationships. But, in that sense, AI is a very good actor. They learned how to sound human. And we'll revisit this. But there's also this idea of being too clean. And let me talk a little about that. So if you watch any of my early videos, I started this channel basically to help my daughter to build a portfolio with her video editing and social media skills. And apparently she got them, so she abandoned this channel. But in the very early videos, she did a great job at adding images, text, animations. I think were way more entertaining than the ones I'm doing now, that I don't have the skills or the time to do all of that. But she did something that everybody does in YouTube. That is editing the voice or the stream by taking repetitions or taking filler words or pauses. And for me, it looks really weird. I saw myself, my head, turning suddenly, tuk, 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 and no pauses and just word after word. And that again didn't sound like me. It sounded like everybody else on YouTube, and probably would be more successful if I kept doing that or she kept doing that. But for me, something was missing. And I realized it was the lack of body language. And I think that body language is a manifestation of the soul. So you can tell a lot about somebody by looking at the body language. That's why you have body language experts. They can really tell a lot when you know what to look for. For instance, when I'm speaking normally, like here, I will sometimes make some pauses. And I might look in certain directions, thinking about things. And you, on your side, will be affected by that in many different ways. If you're trying to pay attention and trying to learn something, you will kind of be expectant and try to read into my mind, why did he stop? Is it something in the surroundings, or is he trying to remember a word or some memory of some experience from the past that suddenly showed up? And that happens when a video is unscripted like this one. Right? So I'm just talking and suddenly, oh, I remember this, and it takes a couple of seconds to process it in my English-speaking brain or mind. But also, I might be talking and suddenly my voice would crack. And that would be because maybe I'm accessing some emotional memories. Right? Also, there are some, things that I maybe don't want to revisit because of traumatic experiences, and I'm trying to avoid. My mind is trying to avoid those paths while I'm speaking. So when you edit all that out, yeah, basically you have information, right? But you don't have a soul. Now, again, a good actor would know how to mimic those. They could be trained to do that dramatic pauses and those stirs and whatever. But there's nothing behind that, right? So that's why you need the suspension of disbelief. Your mind has to go into, okay, I will accept whatever is happening as truth. But to be honest, there's very little number of movies where we would believe what we're seeing. That's for another discussion, right? But not only there's a lot of information and soul in the body language, but there's a lot of information in the errors and the mistakes. And that's what AI really struggles with. They don't know how to make errors believable. So if this is the first video that you watch in this series, first of all, welcome. You're one of the few self-chosen. But yeah, at this point you realize English is not my first language, and that's because of my accent. But probably I already made 5 or 6 grammatical errors, or I phrased some things weirdly, like the thing I just said. But yeah, so you're extracting a lot of information from me or about me by my errors. It happens to me, so I don't speak a word in Hindi. I don't know the grammar, I don't know pretty much anything. It's one of the languages I never really explored at all. But I interact with a lot of people from India. And I noticed that they make certain mistakes over and over, and they all make the same mistake. So it's very easy for me, even when I'm reading, so I don't have the context of the accent or the looks or whatever, it's easy for me to tell that somebody first language is Hindi because of the type of errors that they make. Some of them are similar to Spanish, but some of them are very different. So all those errors give a lot of information. And just by editing them out, so I can definitely tell when some of those friends write something and pass it through ChatGPT. Because, yeah, it's not the way they sound. It's not the way they speak. And even myself, when I try to, to write something that I don't want to, and give ChatGPT a set of bullet points and ask it to flesh it out, I ended up writing it myself because it really doesn't sound like me at all. It doesn't have my errors. It doesn't have my personality. And since my personality is based on my unique experiences, it's impossible for any AI to become me, right? All the AIs will just become an average of everybody. Right? So I don't know. I think that's an interesting thing to think. Oh, I put on my notes to mention something that I think is funny, that I learned when I moved here, that people from Utah, for whatever reason, they, instead of saying across, they say across. And many times I had the opportunity to hear people saying that word and realizing, okay, you're from Utah, just by that across. Right? So I don't think that ChatGPT will ever catch that. That it's even very general, but they won't catch that to imitate a true Utah. But in a previous video, I talked about there's a difference between training and teaching. We can train AI, but we cannot teach it. What's the difference? Well, training is about, well, I'm going to say teach, but training is about instructing the AI about the how to do stuff. And the teach is about the why. Right? So when you're training, you're just creating those paths, in this case to extract language from a mind, from a multidimensional network of concepts. And that's what you train. So you train that mind, and then you have this algorithm to explore it different ways and to predict the next word and so on. So it's about how to do it. When you teach, you're really giving instructions about why things are the way they are. And the how becomes afterwards. And the how is slightly different for everyone, because you're not only learning in a controlled environment, kind of a lab, you're constantly learning. And changing your mind by learning. And that mind is affected all the time with every interaction. So now they're trying to bridge that gap of the training once in every model, by adding tools to access the world, but it's still not teaching. It's just training more often, right? And I don't see that this path that they're following, and some people are saying, well, that the new models are already plateauing, right? And that some people are panicking because all the extrapolation that they were doing about what AI will be capable of doing, are not materializing. I don't know about that. I think it's impressive what they can do. I'm just pointing out the problems that I see. Now, as usual, when I'm trying to think about how to present these topics, I watch some videos, and usually Sabine Hossenfelder beats me to one of my ideas. But this time I disagree with her conclusion. So she was talking that she doesn't believe that through this path of LLMs, large language models, we are going to acquire artificial general intelligence. That would be kind of the kind of intelligence we're talking about, the one that learns, learn from teaching, not from training. But the reason why she doesn't believe that is because she said that language is not the best way to understand the universe. I agree with that part. Where I disagree with is that I think she's missing the point that we are reverse engineering language to create a mind. And that is the breakthrough. Right? So she believes that, obviously she's a physicist, so she believes that the language to teach AI about the universe is physics. So she proposes that to get to artificial general intelligence, AGI, what you need is to expose the AI to a universe. Could be the real universe, or could be a virtual universe. But something that follows rules and laws, and let that AI, AGI, to learn by itself from that, kind of mimicking what we do as humans. Again, the problem I see is that she's missing that connection of the language. Right? Even if you have that, well, that wouldn't make you different than an animal. An animal is constantly experiencing the universe, right? And it behaves like we talk in other videos, kind of in complex ways, just by following simple rules, because the complexity arises from the environment, not from the behavior. Or let's say the rules that determine the behavior. So you still need the language to transform what you're learning into your mind, right? And to communicate that with other people, because that's another powerful way of learning. Think about all the things that you learn from other people through language, by reading books, by watching videos like this, by talking to people. You know, all those things that you learn, that you don't experience yourself, but that you experience vicariously through language. So, yeah, I agree that artificial general intelligence will not be achieved by LLMs, but not for the same reasons as the Sabine, right? But this idea of reverse engineering language to learn or to see the mind. So the mind is kind of a black box, and now the LLMs are black boxes. So it's just a big, again, multidimensional matrix, or I would say network, where everything is connected to everything. We could talk about vector databases and things like that, but that's for another discussion. So, to kind of round this a little, there's something else that I noticed, and is how people are, we could say, curt, or even rude, or sometimes even abusive with AI. When they interact with AI, they don't speak like with a human. They just, give words, and, they never say thank you, they never ask please. Even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, he says that that's a waste of energy. Not energy from our side, energy from the computer side, because they have to process the please, the thank yous. All those communications go back and forth through satellites and, under the ocean through fiber optic cables and radio towers. So every time you say please, you're actually wasting energy. So be kind of direct and rude even with AI. And it doesn't matter. So that might be true from a technical point of view, but what I'm worried about is the effect that will have on society. Because our interactions are more and more prevalent with AI. And if we start being rude with AI, we will become rude. That's it. If you're always talking with somebody, being very direct and even abusive, well, then you will develop, or you will lose the ability of being nice. And that's why I try to be nice with AI. I know that it's a computer and nobody really cares, but I try to keep it human from my side. I try to remain human myself. Right? If you are only nice when the niceness will be rewarded, that's self-interest. Right? That is, you're only nice to rich people, and you're rude to poor people or whatever, right? So that's not really being nice. So I try to be nice to AI, like I try to be nice to animals, like I try to be nice, with other people. Because I want to develop and keep the ability of being nice. I also want to keep the ability to keep my communication skills, to keep my vocabulary. And I know that I could push as words, I could make some mistake, but even in chat communication, when I write something and I realize that I made a mistake, even though I say, well, the other person will completely understand what I'm saying, just missed an S in a word that requires two S's, except with assess. In that case, I'm extremely careful to put all the S's necessary. But in any other cases, I would say, wow, that letter wouldn't, affect the communication at all. But I try to go back and change that, because you could say, well, yeah, but that's one of your mistakes that make you unique. Yes, but that doesn't mean that I should embrace my mistakes, that I would say, I don't care. This is the way I write, and these are the kinds of mistakes. Yeah, I will try to improve. But the improvement has to come from within, right? Not from an AI fixing and sanitizing whatever I'm trying to say. So, my assignment for you, if you want to take it until the next one, is develop that ability to be nice. Be nice to AI. Not because the singularity will happen and we say, oh no, spare him or her because he or she was always nice to me. I don't think that will happen, but just to keep that ability to be nice. Right? If you always say thank you, you don't have to think when to do it or not. You will do it naturally, and that's the best outcome. Okay, so I think that will be this for this episode. Again, I would love to have some feedback. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I missing something? Can you teach me something new? Or am I not seeing the issue properly? Definitely, I would like to know. So hope to see you in the comment, and if not, I will see you in the next one. So bye.